BJ from More Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Julie from Greenbrier Games, and we're talking spicy hot games. And one of the games I want to talk about is a game that she actually got to teach me. I get a text in the middle of the day from Jeremy, my good buddy Jeremy Howard, says, "Do you want to play Tales of BarBEAria?" And I'm like, "Sure." Julie, tell us about this game, and it's out on Kickstarter right now.
It is live this morning. So Tales of BarBEAria is our first game in the Barbarian line was Barbarian Battlegrounds.
Sure.
And Barbarian Battlegrounds, I kind of have to start with it just to make the comparison, was much lighter. The dice roll, you roll your dice, and those are your bears, and you're allotting them to do different things. This one takes it up a level so that there is a little bit more strategy behind what you're doing. So you are rolling your dice out in the open. Your tribe of bears is, you are organizing them to get the greatest amount of glory.
Sure.
So you want to be renowned for being the best bears in all of BarBEAria. And so you're allotting them to different tasks in your village. You can either go out adventuring. There's a deck of cards. So those adventure things will have specific rule sets of, highest, lowest, and you're comparing your dice, whether you get the short-term items or long-term glory, risk reward for both. And then you brawl. Brawling is attacking players to your left or right. You are gathering resources, so there are 3 different resources. And then of those resources, you're spending them to level up, so there is an engine building element to it. The engine building can be getting more dice, getting specialists that are dedicating to generating more resources for you, but there are also different cards that will allow you to play a one and done, take that type of mechanism.
Yes. Look, if you're going into this game, you got to understand, you got to like player interaction because there is a lot of it. Now, it's all short term.
Yeah.
It's not something where you build up this big giant castle and then somebody knocks it down and then you're like, oh,
no.
It's not like that at all. I don't mean there is a lot of take that and there's a lot of player interaction, but it's not knocking down sandcastles. It's more like you're taking a step forward and somebody cuts you out a little bit or makes you zig when you want it to zag, right, Julie? And I think that's what you're going for, those little short-term decisions, but it's going to be involved. What are the other players doing? At some points I was trying to get in the heads of you two, like, where's Julie going to go with those? What does she really want this to?
That's completely fair. And it's even more so when you start playing it a lot more often, indicative because now we were playing it in Tabletop Simulator, so we had the little hidden sections, but either way, you have a player screen. So when you're placing your bears, dice, at the different locations, you're trying to either psych out, try to figure out what the other people are doing to react to it, or you're trying to push buttons to get them to do something so that you can react to it if you're playing an advanced game.
Right.
So it is absolutely player interaction.
The more you play this game, I could see where you're playing the player, not always the game, although you got to play the game, but you're also going to be playing the player a little bit. The player a little bit. There's a game that we play called The Flow of History, and I've talked to some friends about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't really see why you guys compare it to poker." I'm like, well, we play it differently. We play each other, not really the game. Right. We're looking to see, and it's the same way. I mean, Jeremy and I are both eyeing that spot, but we know if we don't go for that spot, maybe the other one's going to be free, right? Man, just slide that little tiny bear there and sneak in. So I did like that part. What I ignored to my detriment is you guys also added an extra level to it, and that's all the market at the top. So tell the chat crew about the market.
So the market So the market is the different ways that you are. It's a light engine building, but you're building your engine. So the market cards, you have 3 different types. You have your mercenaries, which you hire as a one and done. You get an extra dice for 1 turn and roll. Or they might have a specific ability to do something. For example, I might pick up a card and say, okay, I'm going to get an extra die this turn and just use it right away.
Sure.
Or it might say, if you have a 5 or 6 and go adventuring, I can knock that one out. And I might keep that, especially if I'm only in the first couple rounds, and wait for somebody to do that and put a 1 out on an adventuring thing and you're laughing at me and you put your 5 there and I'm like, oh no, sorry.
Oh
None
no.
for you. So it has that very take that. The fate deck is all about rolling dice manipulation, either re-rolling your whole hand like it's Yahtzee, changing a die to one specific number, or messing with somebody else's dice. And then the Empower deck takes the Guard Bear, which is one of the, if you look at the bottom right-ish corner, there's a little bear with
Right.
a little like door-ish
Right.
helmet. It turns a Guard Bear, which is purely defensive against oncoming attacks from other players, and turns that specific bear into, Achilles, where suddenly they are the captain of the guards, and they're going out and they're taking the fight out and bulks them up and adds all these extra points. So you think that so you take 3 bears out on a rating against another play, and they're like, I've got 5, and you'd be like, actually, I have 7.
Right.
So it's a very, again, like you said, it's a quick take that. It's not I built up this whole thing and now you're just ruining my plans for the last 5 turns. It's a haha, no, haha to you kind of a moment.
Now, one of the other things I thought that was really intriguing is you told me that, and I think it was you in development or maybe some other parts of the team had kind of played with the victory points. When you're looking at that scoreboard on the top, not the market board, the other board, there's that track that you have that is it Glory? Is that what it's called? Glory?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that you told me was a big change during the development of the game. How did that come about?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I really like the push and pull that we had as people would get ahead and come back. But how did that come about?
So in the first game, there's actually a much more visceral use. We have a stack of tokens that are your glory. Right. And in the first game, you had that stack and people could physically take your glory from you. And I liked that. I liked the look of betrayal as you took somebody's glory from them and put it in front of your own. But it wasn't very effective in the long run because people were very confused about when they could take glory, when they couldn't, and it made scoring a little bit confusing. So we wanted to make sure it was a clear thing. So, but we wanted to still have. Okay, so I wanted to keep that visceral, but we didn't want to have the physical taking, but still keep that emotion. So the deal is, when you're playing, if you're choosing to attack, it's a risk reward situation. So defend is safe. You're not ever going to get points, but you're not going to lose points.
Sure.
But if you if you go out and attack and you successfully attack, you're going up the tracker. But if somebody successfully defends, then you have to go back down because now their guards are standing on the wall and they're doing the, ha ha ha, ha ha, yeah. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelled of elderberry,
right?
And pointing and laughing. So that's the somebody who constantly wants to just attack. Sure, but people are going to catch wise to that, and suddenly you're going to go from I gained all these points, that feels really great, to I just lost all these points. Now I'm sad and everybody's laughing at me. So it still has that. It still had that high emotion, that high impact.
And it's right there on the board. You can't escape it. We're always looking at those markers. So I thought that was a brilliant move to really showcase that part because it keeps people engaged in that part of the game.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So it's out on Kickstarter right now. This is in the universe of Barbarians. It's called Tales in the Barbarian Battlegrounds universe. It's Tales of BarBEAria. It seems to be a longer, more Euro-y, more mechanically not sound, but you know what I mean, a deeper type of a game.
It is a deeper so this, the first game is the one that you play with your kids.
Right.
And this one or your younger kids. And this one you play with your older kids or just, with your friends once your kids go to bed.
21 days to go on the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And you have just in case people didn't hear it, you have the best tagline for this game.
Cute but stabby.
Cute but stabby. You can't beat that.
I can't even take credit for that.
Oh, no, I thought that was your line.
Jennifer, who loves my game, who demos at all my conventions, was like, come here and play this cute but stabby game. And she just kept shouting it at people, and they were like, I'm in. And I'm like, that's it.
Cute bears but stabby.
Yeah.
So Thomas has a question. He wants to know if is the game competitive mode only, or are there other game modes?
No, this is a competitive game. Although there is an expansion that is on the Kickstarter as well, the Candy Horde, which does offset it. It makes it more asymmetrical, where you are playing against a common foe. So you will.
Is that these zombie
offset.
cards that I have up there?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. The Zombears, which are like
The
candy.
Zombears. Oh, I missed that. I can't believe I missed that, Steve. Oh man.
Oh, yeah. And then there are heroes. So in addition to instead of going out adventuring on a location, now you're kind of be able to work towards fighting this common enemy. And you can also one of your bears can rise up, and it's a recruiting kind of mechanism, but you're building up or training this one bear to be your leader, your champion as well, which gives a special dice.
Steve, did you notice the name of the expansion? Candy Hordes. She can't get away from that Candyland thing she did when she was 3 years old. She's just
zombies. Apparently, that's my life.
Zombears and candies. I love it. Okay, so that is Tales of BarBEAria. You got another 21 days to go. Steve put up a link on the Kickstarter, so anybody wants to check it out. And it's pretty easy to find. So it's out there on Kickstarter. 21 days to go. Cute but stabby game. Check that out from Greenbrier Games.